Welcome guys and girls, Cikgu Indran here. Thank you for joining me on e-learning with Expert. Today we're going to have the first video on STPM Maths T Semester 1 Chapter 1, and the title of this chapter is Functions. So let me give you all a brief overall on what's going to be taught in the first chapter of Maths T STPM. The first subtopic will be functions. So under functions you'll be learning relations and functions, graphs of algebraic functions, composite functions and their existence, inverse functions and their existence. The second subtopic would be polynomial and rational functions, where we will cover remainder theorem, factor theorem, partial fractions as well as inequalities. Moving on to the third subtopic over here, we have exponential and logarithmic functions, where we will be covering graphs of exponents and logarithmic functions, properties of exponents and exponential functions, laws of logarithm and exponentials, and inequalities involving exponential logarithmic expressions. And lastly, in the fourth subtopic, we have trigonometric function, where we'll be covering graphs of trigonometric functions and inverse trigonometric functions. And of course, in B, we have trigonometric formulae over here, where we'll be covering basic identities and compound angle formula. And lastly, we have also trigonometric equation. So this is an overview of what we have to study or cover in chapter 1. The first thing that we've got to cover today would be relations. Let me explain to you all first what is meant by relation. Let's say we've got two groups over here, and this is A and this is B. We have certain elements in A. Let's just give them namely numbers 5, 6, 7, and A maps to certain elements in B. We could give them numbers as well, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now this element from A is connected to an element in B using arrows as shown on the diagram, and the elements in A we call it as the domain, and the elements in B we call as the codomain. So if you were to list out what's in my domain, domain are all the elements contained in set A, and we could write it using set form, where it's 5, 6 and 7, and then we have the codomain, which are the elements in set B. We could write it as set form as well, 10, 11, 12 and 13. And finally, there's something that we need to know, which is called the range. Now the range are the values in the codomain that only has mapping from A. If you do not map from A, like 13 doesn't have an element which is mapped from A, 13 is not part of the range. Hence the set of the range values here would be just 10, 11 and 12. So I hope you guys and girls can see the difference between the codomain and the range. Codomain is the complete elements of set in B, whereas range are only the element which is mapped from A to B. If 13 does not have a mapping from A, 13 is not considered to be part of the range over here. Any questions, students? No questions? Let's move on to the next part now. So guys and girls, there are 4 different types of relations here. The first relation is called the one-to-one relation. Second is called the many-to-one relation. Third is called the one-to-many relation. And finally, the fourth is called many-to-many relation. Let us move on to one example over here now. Function basically is like an input and output machine. So let's take a simple linear function over here, 5x minus 3. What does it mean by an input and output machine? See, inside the bracket here has got an x, and this x value we could input with different variables or numbers. I could put -1 in here, I could put 2 in here, I could put 5 in here, I could even change it to put an h in there. So what does this mean? So if you look at the board, if I input -1, the way I write this would be f of -1. So the x over the left hand side has become -1. The same thing should happen to the x on the right hand side, meaning we substitute 5, -1 minus 3. So we have -5 minus 3, and the answer over here is -8. Number 2, let's say we change x to become 2. So I have f of 2 now in the bracket. As this changes to 2, this also changes to become 2. So we have 5 times 2 minus 3, giving us 10 minus 3, and we have 7 over here. Let's say I input 5. So f of 5 over here is going to be 5 times 5 minus 3, giving us 25 minus 3, which is 22. And finally, I can even change the variable to another variable. I change from f of x to become f of h. So since this has changed to h, this x will also follow to become h, giving us 5h minus 3. So in this example over here, guys, the domain was all the input. So we have a domain as -1, 2, 5, and we also have h. Now the range was the corresponding output from the domain. That means the range were all these numbers that came out, or the expression itself. So we have -8, 7, 22, and 5h minus 3. I'm going to put up a question on the board now. It's very similar to the first example that I've just shown you guys. Let's say we have a function 3x minus 4, and for the given domain over here, which is -1, x to 3. And the question goes like this: find the range. Now, one of you guys are going to do this. John Doe, come up. Try and solve this question.
f minus 1 equals 3 minus 1 minus 4 equals minus 3 minus 4 equals minus 7.
Okay.
f 3 equals 3, 3 minus 4 equals 9 to 4 equals 5. Range equals minus 7 is less than or equal to f. X is less than or equal to 5.
Well done, that's it. So that's going to be the solution. So for the given function fx that lies between these x values, this is going to be the range here. So for corresponding x values, what are the corresponding y values? That is domain and range. We have already seen what is meant by a relation, the different types of relation, and also a couple of examples on functions as we just saw. Now, how do we define if a given relation is a function? Bear in mind here, not all relations are functions. So to test if a given relation is a function or not, there is something that we call as a vertical line test. This is a very simple test here, guys and girls. So let us start by a graph, just a simple cubic looking graph over here. So we have got a smooth curve here, And anywhere on this given graph, if I were to draw a vertical line, and do not forget, and the line intersects or cuts the graph only at one point, this passes out to be a function. So in this case, it only intercepts at one point. So yes, it is a function. Now what happens if we have a different type of graph over here? Probably something like an ellipsoid. Notice here, if I were to take a vertical line and just draw on this graph, it's obvious that one line intersects or cuts the graph more than once, or in this case at 2 points. So in this case it fails the vertical lines test. So no, it is not a function over here. Supposed to be an n here. Okay. And finally, sometimes we may have a graph that looks a little strange over here, something like a cubic as well, but it just turns over here. Now notice this, students, anywhere here we draw a vertical line, it cuts one, but as I said, at any point on the graph, see what happens to the small part here. Once, twice, automatically this will fail. So no, it is not a function. So observe the entire graph and you must see that if it only cuts at one time, you are a function. If more than once, the graph or the given relation is not a function. Let us now look at the different types of functions that we are going to cover. So the first would be linear functions, followed by quadratic functions, and then we have got the reciprocal function, we've got the cubic function, the square root function, and finally we have got the absolute value function. So the first function is going to be the linear function, or you guys should already know by now, it's just a straight line. Linear means straight line. And how does a straight line follow? The equation mx plus c. So a sketch of this function would just look like this. And remember that c is going to be the y-intercept over here. Second, we have got the quadratic function. Recall, guys and girls, from your SPM, a quadratic function could either be a smiley face or it could look like a sad face over here. Now what determines the shape of the graph for a quadratic function? The general form for this function would be f of x is going to be given by ax squared plus bx plus c. Now for the smiley face, we always have a positive a. So in this case, my a has to be greater than 0. And for a sad face, it follows negativity. So a is less than 0. So remember, if you're smiling, you're positive, greater than 0. And if you're sad, you're less than 0, a negative coefficient of a. And then we have got the reciprocal function. Reciprocal graph are just the 1 over x graph over here. So we've got a graph looking like this, and this is y equals to, let's say, 1 over x. I just want to show you all the difference with the negative and a positive here. And in B, if you are covering the second and fourth quadrant, so over here this is the negative reciprocal function. Number 4, guys and girls, would be the cubic function. So pay close attention to this because the cubic function has 3 types of graph. So the first, we can have one real root. And how would a graph of a cubic function with one real look? Sorry. Now how would the cubic graph having one real root look like? So this could be the standard y equals to x cubed graph over here. Number 2, we could have a cubic function having 2 real roots. So to draw a cubic graph that has 2 real roots, one has to be a repeated factor, or basically it's going to be a tangent. What does this mean? If the graph goes up, cuts the x-axis, and the second time it doesn't cut, it just touches the x-axis and turns up again. So this, let's call it A and B. To write an equation of this kind of graph, it would look like this: x plus A, because this is the negative root, and the B would be x minus B, but put a square up here because it's repeated 2 times on the decreasing and increasing interval. And we could also have 3 real roots. Now this is a standard cubic function graph over here, where it's going to cut at 3 points on the x-axis. If I were to call this A, B and C, the equation will look like this: x plus A, x minus B, followed by x minus C. Number 5, we have the square root function. Now square root function graph looks like this. It's basically the reflection of the square graph. So we have something starting from the origin and increasing like this. And lastly, we have the absolute value function, or this we usually call the modulus graph. The modulus graph is just a reflection of the parent graph of everything below the x-axis. What does this mean? Let me show you all an example. So as we should know by now, this is the graph of y equals to x. If I were to draw the absolute value function of this graph, or y equals to modulus x, see this part, guys and girls, the part below the x-axis is reflected because a modulus function cannot be negative. Therefore, we have the graph looking like this. But the part below here, we stop and we reflect up like this. So this is going to be a modulus function graph. So with that, guys and girls, we have reached the end of the lesson today. Chapter 1, Part 1 of the first STPM MathsT function. I hope you have followed the lesson well, and I'm looking forward to see you all in my upcoming videos. And please hit the like and the subscribe button. Thank you very much.